The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzerl. I'm joined as always by Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. How you doing, you two?
Good.
I'm fantastic. We're the 6 Dills of Christmas right now.
Yay.
So
What
don't you dare say happy holidays to me, because that's the war on Christmas, and I ain't happy.
You mean the war is on Dillsmas? Or
Yeah, the war on Dillsmas, exactly. There's actually a lot of debate over whether it's Dills of Christmas or Days of Dillsmas.
I like the Dills of Christmas.
Dills of Christmas.
It's the Dills of Christmas.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
like,
Let's set the record straight now. It's 12 Dills of Christmas. Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
trying to
Get
steal
12
Christmas.
dills over 12 days.
So on the
exactly.
sixth day, Dills of Christmas, what did my True Dills give to me?
Oh, crap. Mitsula emailed these to me. I can't remember anymore.
Oh, do you actually have this? Did someone write out a full friggin' song?
He wrote this is a few years ago. This is a few years ago that he said. Okay, here it is. Hold on. All right, so let's see. On the 6 Dills, it's geese a drinking.
Whoa.
Sure.
So you gave me
So
6
does that
drinking
mean you have
geese.
to make like a goose-based cocktail?
I mean, I don't.
That-
No, I don't have to.
Are
I
you?
guess I probably should. Maybe Grey Goose and cranberry.
Yeah, Grey
Oh,
Goose. You can
okay.
put Grey
I
Goose
was
with anything.
thinking literal goose. I'm like, are you putting meat
No.
product in your drink?
No,
That
geez.
sounds terrible.
Well, so far what we've made, like we had some plans. Some of them fell through, but some of them have come to fruition. We did mold spiced wine last night, which was really good. Oh my god, it was so good. I did the whole thing where I like let it steep in the fridge for 24 hours. So it was like a bunch of wine, some bourbon. I even threw some rum, some simple syrup, a bunch of like sliced tomatoes and tomatoes.
Ugh.
No, oranges and lemons. Tomatoes.
I was totally on board with this drink. till you
Tomatoes
put
weren't
tomatoes
actually
in it.
terrible. But yeah, oranges and lemons, and then cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, the whole thing. With
Sounds
a whole bunch of,
dangerous.
red wine. Yeah.
Very
Then-
dangerous.
Then you heat it up for a while to like kind of like simmer off all the spice and mix it all together nicely, and it's so good. I did. You can make like a single. Have you ever made a single eggnog? Like just one eggnog, like.
No, I haven't.
So,
Actually, I've never made
done
eggnog.
it
Period.
before either, but you just put like an egg, some milk, some bourbon, some simple syrup in a shaker. Dry shake it first, Garrett. I'm sure you know what that
Ooh,
means.
yeah. By the way, if you I don't care anymore. It's the end of the year. It's the holidays. We're gonna have fun and talk about drinks instead of Hearthstone for a minute.
Sure.
The game takes place in a tavern. This is on brand.
Yeah.
This is totally on brand.
Have you, Dills?
We're talking about what we would order at the
Yes.
Hearthstone
Yeah,
Tavern.
exactly. Have you, Dills, when dry shaking your egg-based cocktail, not gotten the seal right and just egg all over you?
and just sprayed egg
Yep,
everywhere.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the hardest part with the dry shake because you don't add ice yet, so it doesn't help make a seal. So you gotta get it just right.
Yeah. You got to really like pound it down and then do the thing where you hold both sides. You know what I'm talking about? Because
Yeah.
like sometimes you need to shake where you hold on the side.
On the
Okay.
yeah, just keep
Top
doing
and
that. Somebody please clip that and make a gif out of it. I would appreciate it.
If
Everyone.
I did
this,
that,
not
I would
like
literally go like this and then like shake one hand one way and one hand the other and just open
Just
the
open it.
It's not a football throw shake.
Like I got
This
this, guys. Boom.
But yeah, so you dry shake it, then you throw the ice in, you shake it real good, and then just sprinkle a little nutmeg on top, and there you go. Just got like a single glass of eggnog. So good.
Oh, that's
So good.
fantastic. That
Yeah.
was so good. Thank you. You put me in such a better mood because right before the show we were like, "Hey, are we going to talk about the HGC thing?" And I'm like, "It's really
yeah.
bumming me out, guys. I'm not sure how much I really want to get into it." So thank you, Dills, for just putting a smile on my face before I then remind myself that HGC is canceled. But
HGC's canceled.
yeah, HGC is canceled. And if you want my thoughts, listen into the Nexus, specifically like the last 20 minutes, because we actually got the whole episode up. And then the news hit, and then Kyle and I were like, well, shit, we have to turn the stream back on, and then we just tacked it on to the end of the show. So I've been getting tweets from everybody about how I can't listen to the regular show. It's too happy and normal. But I just skipped to the end, which is fine. I completely understand. But Dills, you've been telling me there's a lot of folks jumping in your Twitch chat being like, oh my God, what does this mean for Hearthstone? It's the end of days. And nothing. It means they've already announced that more money is going to Hearthstone esports next year than any year previous. It's
1.2 million extra dollars in Hearthstone.
I guess we know where that came from.
I hate you, Jocelyn, so much. Right? We're done. I'm out.
Yep. Was 1.2 million the exact amount in HGC? That would be hilarious.
No, I don't know what the exact amount was off the top of my head, but it wasn't 1.2.
Like, hey, remember that 1.2 million we were going to pay to these guys? Nah, give it to those guys instead.
Yeah.
So like, it's the Hearthstone esports is still a thing. Don't worry about that, guys. It's fine.
I think just the only point that I really wanted to make here about this news is that it seems like this is the pare down budget cutty kind of year for Blizzard. There's been a lot of talk about like what's going on with like Diablo stuff. There's a whole article that came out about how they have a new CFO, and the CFO has put forward like we need to save money anywhere we can. So I think in a year like that, in the context of a year like that at a company like Blizzard, the fact that they did announce that we're doing more HCT stuff, I don't think it's called HCT next year, but anyways, the fact that they're doing Hearthstone esports stuff and they're putting more money into it, they're investing into Hearthstone. I think that's good. I think the one potential takeaway is that things can be canceled, and just because it's late in the year doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get stuff for sure. So I think a lot of us are making assumptions that a lot of things like HCT and HGC were going to be around for, if not ever, at least like, once we kind of hit November, December, we're like, well, for sure it's going to be around next year, because otherwise they would have told us, not necessarily. So I think
the biggest takeaway for people like me and people like us is you can never be comfortable when you do something like this for a living, and you just always got to be ready for the rug to be pulled out from underneath you, because it just might happen. We are reliant on a company that needs to make money on a thing that if they don't make money on, I ain't gonna make money either. So it's one of those things. If you're listening to this show, and I know we don't do the show that's aimed at the esports people, but if you're listening to this show and you are an esports person, probably have a backup plan in line all the time. If you're going to do something like this, it's, to me, like I kind of likened it on my stream to like being in a band, right? Like the Squirrel Nut Zippers rode the wave of everybody liking swing all of a sudden.
The
you know
what?
I mean? Then swing went away.
Is that a band name that I'm not aware of?
Squirrel Nut Zippers? Yeah, you don't remember them?
No.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, Squirrel Nut Zippers. Remember the swing thing? Remember the movie Swingers came out, and then all of a sudden swing was hip again? And everyone was into swing.
I had like a friend. I had like one friend who went to swing class.
That's right. Joce, come on, back me up. But anyway, like ska had a resurgence, right?
Excuse me. No. Ska has never died and is as relevant today as it will be forever.
But okay, all right. You remember?
I'm just messing with you because I love ska.
You're like that. Like there were bands like that got real big for a little bit because they were riding the wave of other bands, like grunge.
Yeah.
There were bands that came along for the Nirvana ride, but they weren't Nirvana. When that became less popular, those bands died out, and it's like that kind of thing. If you're riding the wave may die.
So you're saying League and Dota are the Nirvana if they were
League
still alive, and
Dota
Pearl Jam
is
Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
so those are the
Soundgarden.
Oh, well, I was trying to think of like grunge bands that are still relevant.
Soundgarden
is relevant. Okay, all right, fine. Sorry, Pearl Jam to me, I guess, because they're still doing things. I wanted to pick at least one band that's still alive and doing things.
Pearl Jam, sure.
But yeah, I pick. So you're saying that like there's room for like a few big ones to stay relevant forever, and everyone else is just gonna die off.
Well, they're riding the wave, and the wave may go away.
Fair.
Just be aware of that.
So, yeah, I mean, look,
the League of Legends wave may go away at some. You know what I mean? Like, that definitely could happen. Like, like I think we could all say Magic the Gathering, chilling, right? But let's say I tried to become a Shadowverse pro, right? Shadowverse may just go. If I want to be an Eternal pro, might not work out for me. We already had some Hex pros. Didn't work out so well for them. So, yeah. If you're talking card games, it's like, there's Magic, Nirvana.
Yeah. I think the where the disconnect is, without extending this on, even though I'm going to, is with Blizzard. I feel a lot of us felt secure with Blizzard because it felt like anything they touched, whether it was gold or not, was going to be supported for a long time. And it sounds like as we get more details that Heroes the game is still going to be supported for a long time. But
for a time. I wouldn't put length on anything now.
Yeah, my takeaway in a different way than it previously was.
Yeah. But so it's this shift in perception, which is what's making this so difficult, is because there's been so many people mad and yelling since BlizzCon that Blizzard isn't the Blizzard they used to be.
Yeah.
And now
sure.
now this happens, and it's close enough home to me, someone who doesn't care enough about Diablo to get angry about something like Immortal, to go, oh crap, well, they just kind of proved those people right. That's where it's difficult for me to reconcile.
To those people, though, I will say that no company that has gone through as much as Blizzard has gone through is going to be the same. Like, if you wanted Blizzard to 10, 15, 20 years later still be like 10 guys sitting around in a conference room in like scruffy looking clothes, making like cool, interesting, fun little games, it's just not what that company is anymore. So you can't expect them to be that anymore. There's Activision involved now. It is a major company. The IPO is ages ago. They have a stock that is plummeting. They're going to be making decisions based upon money now, more than they're going to be making like, what cool game could we make that's like Magic, man? Like, that's just not, you know what I mean? It's like your hippie parents grew up and Blizzard did too.
I mean, you say that, but they do still have their like incubator thing going on, right? Like,
sure. No, there's many things there's still a culture, but but there's just more factors at play than there used to be. And I think we have to stop forcing our interpretation of what Blizzard is to be reality and just accept the new reality. And it's just, it sucks hard.
I mean, to stave off, hopefully, probably in vain, some of the feedback, I would say I don't think you have to accept it.
No, you can move on.
You can absolutely move on.
It is your decision to say, nope, no more of this for me.
But that has always been the case, which that should be a concern to Blizzard, I think. I think indifference would be a very bad thing for Blizzard, because it's not something we typically associate with Blizzard projects. We don't typically associate a Blizzard announcement with, wow, I don't care about that. But I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Immortal personally. A lot of people feel angry enough to make their voices heard, but if it goes enough far down that path, we'll have to see. I mean, to me, this is the first big change for me in my perception of Blizzard, is this event.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just feel like I guess as I get older, I've seen so many things.
It's fair. That's fair. I had this a little bit.
It's like bands have changed, friends groups have changed, jobs have changed, like all these things, and you're just kind of like, at a certain point, you just kind of like, you just realize so many things in life are just temporary. And
I'm literally picturing. Sorry, I know I'm laughing a lot. I'm picturing Dills like in an armchair in the dark with a cigarette. I've seen.
You don't remember Blizzard.
That's the picture I have in my head right now.
I remember with Blizzard, there was no esports at all, man.
Let me tell you about the openings of the gates of Encourage.
Mount's still 40, man. Oh, yeah. It was.
I'm glad I could paint that picture for you guys.
Do you know how long we had to save up to buy that first frickin' mount? Now you get them at 20 for 5 gold.
Sword skills. It was crazy.
And you loot 1 gold off the first damn boar you kill. I don't want to hear it. Get off my digital lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
basically.
good. I don't know why. I guess Dills has spent so long in Texas at this point that he has a bit of a drawl.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a country boy, man.
Yeah. So bums me out. You want to hear more of my thoughts? Into the Nexus is the place to hear that, and we'll probably talk quite a bit more about it on this week's episode, seeing as we know about it before we go into the recording. So
What the hell else are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Well, there was a huge update to the game recently. We're still trying to figure out what it
sure.
means. So there's that to talk about too. But I know you wanted to talk a little bit about discard before we move through the show.
Yeah, so I've been playing a little bit with Discard Warlock, Quest and no Quest. I think we've all settled on the fact that Quest sucks. even if Discard is potentially decent, Quest still just not good. It's too bad.
Yeah, God, what a world we live in. We're getting 2 free 3/2s every turn.
Yeah. Not only that, but at the end of your turn so that they can attack at the beginning of the next turn.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's just not good.
It might have been. I mean, it would probably be better at this. Now that we've seen how it rolls out, it'd probably be better if it happened at the end of your opponent's turn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If it was like, okay, imagine if it was like, what's that card in Magic? There's a card in Magic. It's a flying 4/3, and at the beginning of your upkeep, it like comes back. And I know. Anyway, it's this crazy ass. It's a flying 4/3 bird thing in red, and at the beginning of your upkeep, it comes back, and then it can actually attack again. It's crazy, but it like literally isn't there for your opponent to like deal with. There's like a 0/1 there. Arclight Phoenix. Hey, Vigilante. Yeah, there you go.
Vigil. Hey, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, like it comes back. Your opponent can't even deal with the 4/3 itself. It could. Yeah, but anyway. If it was like that, oh my God, holy crap, would that be good? But so the problem that I have though with discard is that there's ways that some of the mechanics work where discard would just be better if it worked better, right? So I'm playing it in wild, and the discard happens before the battle cry of the card that you play, which is kind of weird, right? So there's like things like, okay, so the Fist of Jaraxxus and the Silverware Golem, right? They like the Silverware Golem, remember, is the free. I'm talking about wild mostly here.
Yeah,
but this is where there's more of these mechanics that actually
right. This is the old Karazhan card. It was a 3/3 for 3.
Yeah, but you got it for free if you discarded it, right?
Oh, that's
and like
right.
Now
yeah. If you discarded it, it then summoned it to the board.
Yeah, and with like Jeklik, now you've got more like if I discard this, it's a good thing, right? You got Clutch Mother, Zava, whatever. If you discard this, it's good, right? So if you fill your deck up with things that you can discard, it's kind of sweet because you don't mind discarding any of it. The problem is the Golem, if you Shriek, it discards. You read the text. It discards before it deals the damage to the board. So you discard your Golem. The Golem hits the board, and then your Golem is now a 3/1.
Yeah,
right?
but
you discard the card first. If you discard Fist of Jaraxxus, it deals 4 to something, kills it, then you Shriek and kill it too. It's just like, man, if they could have reversed the text on this card.
I was about to say, I was about to defend the card. I'm like, well, it's happening in the order that as is written.
I know. It's just, why did they order it that way? That's so bad.
Okay, so you're is your entire point you just want Shriek rewritten?
No, my entire point is that they've made this whole mechanic and they're forcing us down this path, and then they're giving us this mechanic in a way that it's weaker than it could be if they'd have just worked the mechanic in a different way. And they've given us so many discard cards in Warlock that it's just like, man, you are just crapping on a mechanic that you're giving us. You know what I mean? And like, I wish that they would just consider these factors when they're designing these cards.
Maybe they did and thought it would be too powerful otherwise.
Really? Because it's really not.
I'm only wondering because they printed the card that gives you back your discarded card, right? So, or discarded cards. So I'm just wondering if maybe it would be.
It's just weird because it feels like it's working the wrong way. You know what I mean? When you're playing the deck, you feel like, oh man, these plays would be so powerful and cool if they didn't work this way. Like if I could shriek and get a 3/3 instead of a 3/1, that would be dope. But
Yeah, that's why it's such a weird conversation to have, I guess, because there's also the conversation of, well, maybe it's just underpowered on purpose, because they talk about all the time about, we why you purposely create underpowered
Bad
cards, because you need to have bad cards, understand what makes a good card, what
Absolutely.
makes an okay card, so on and so forth. So maybe that's where it happened with Shriek. Maybe they did think it was too powerful. I find it unlikely,
Yeah,
but
I
who
think
knows?
that's-
Maybe something's coming down the line further down, because we do know they work ahead. It would have to, in my head, it would have to be something very specific. That's like, you have a card where if you discard it and you recently killed something good happens, so that you shriek and you kill things, and then you discard this card that has that particular clause, and it's too powerful of a combo. But
I've found like Blizzard has done this with a few different mechanics, where like Beast Druid and stuff like that, where it's like, we're gonna give you all this stuff, freeze shaman, we're gonna give you all this stuff that's very specifically pointing you in a direction, and then that direction sucks, right? And I'm like, and I've been playing some MTG Arena, and like there's, like Boros Angels. It's like all my angels feel really powerful together, and it's like, and they didn't necessarily force me down that path, but there's just white angels and there's red angels and there's a red white angel, and it just feels like, okay, so I put red white together and I make angels. But like with things like Beast Druid and with Discard Warlock, like they give us all these tools, and then when you're playing it, you're like, man, this is not very good. And like, I wish you would have just given me these tools and then made them good and work together in ways that make sense, right? Because you just feel like when you're playing that deck, like I'm gimped and the other guy isn't. The other guy's just doing all this broken stuff, and I'm doing a thing that you guys kind of showed me I should be doing, and it's not good.
Yeah, and that's the push and pull of the game, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I'm getting at too. Is like, also maybe it's because of when it came out right now, because of the power level of the meta decks right now on the ladder, that it also is just making it feel even worse. On top of this, clearly it's something you're passionate about, so it's going to stick out to you more than, I don't know, something else. Frog Shaman. That could have been really cool. No one's complaining that that's not powerful enough.
But it's not that I'm like specifically passionate about discard lock. I just wish that the game mechanics worked in ways where they felt like they were, like, if you think about them and then they work completely differently, you're just like, oh. It was like a disappointing realization, right? While you're playing the game of Hearthstone. Yeah, and I know Ben Brode had talked in the past about one of the fun things about Hearthstone is figuring out interactions. But this was like an anti-fun moment. You know what I mean? And I would like them to move forward without giving us anti-fun moments, because I think it's important. Like I talked to you, Garrett, I think briefly. I don't know if Gosselin was there when I was talking about this, but like Artifact, there's all this hype around it. And then I played it and I was just like, man, I'm just not having fun. And when I play Hearthstone, I feel like I'm having fun. And the fun moments are when you like do something that's like really cool, right? Like if I were to shriek and kill a 3/2 and then the Fist of Draxus hits the face, I'd be like, oh yeah, I did this cool thing. But instead it's like I shriek, the Fist of Draxus hits the 3/2 that I'm already killing, and then nothing. You know what I mean? It's like that's an anti-fun moment. And
what if, and anyone on Team 5 listening, feel free to write in and confirm or deny, but just imagine, like the wild tester on Team 5. I don't even know if that's a person, if that person exists.
No way that's a person.
But just imagine that they do. Let's, for the sake of my what if, let's just imagine Mr. or Mrs. Freaking wild tester on Team 5. The frickin' is on there. It's on their business card. Is testing, and they shriek their Fist of Draxus, and it's doing what you want it to do, and it just breaks the game. It's just now the best thing in Wild. Every simulation they run is just too good, and that was the entire reason this card was written the way it was.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
In
but
Wild,
I was there for your
bonds,
story,
right?
Garrett. It was a good story.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Thank you. The consolation.
By the way, the wild tester, we have our standard tester disguise test, and then we have our wild tester Dane, who has apparently like broken the game of Hearthstone multiple times because of the Undertaker. There's no way that they tested some of the things he's done.
Okay, I just have to address something, Jocelyn. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a long 2 years if you're gonna be tilted every time Undertaker is said, because they named it that. We didn't name it that. We're just reading the card.
I'm
I
not
had people
tilted
coming into
by
my
the
chat.
name. I'm tilted by the card at this point.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah,
that's fair
yeah.
then. Never mind. That is fair.
Yeah.
I am too. I don't blame you.
I had people coming to my chat telling me like, thank you for saying the Undertaker instead of the Undertaker.
I've seen way
Really?
more
You care?
messages in favor of Jocelyn. Just like, yes, I stand
Yeah, I was
strong
like,
with
why
my
does people
with
care
my
either way?
Canadian sister.
It's fine.
Yeah, a
We all know what card we're talking about.
lot of people are with you, Jocelyn. A lot of people wanting to protest the pronunciation of Undertaker.
The forced accent.
Undertaker.
Nope.
Yep, can't do it. Can't. Well. One day you're just gonna slip. You're gonna slip and you're gonna pronounce it as written, and I'm gonna clip it and play it every 5 minutes on an episode, and we will lose all
No
of our
one's mad about
subscribers.
Hype Mon.
Because it's
They're just the
amazing.
trolls, man. That's how they talk.
Because it's amazing. It's so good. Also, we're not seeing it as frequently as we are Undertaker.
Yeah,
There, I just said it regularly
that
because
card
it's,
sucks.
yeah, talking quickly. But yeah. Anyways, we have a big recruit hunter to talk about. I guess that recruit hunter is just big, but you know what I'm talking about. Before we do that, let's thank our sponsor today, Harry's, who are back to sponsor this episode of The Angry Chicken. We're in the home stretch here to the holidays, and they still have those gift boxes. Those so handsome plaid gift boxes are still available. They're not just boxes, by the way. This is a gift set. It comes ready to gift. It's so very, very handsome. Clad in plaid, as I like to say. They have multiple gift sets. They start at just $10. They also come with 100% quality guarantees. So if the person you're gifting this to doesn't like it, they can return it. The returns are quick and hassle-free, but you're going to love it. I love my Harry's razors. I've been using them for years now, and I have gifted these gift sets multiple times as well. It's just fun. I've never enjoyed unboxing shaving goods before Harry's. It's something I never thought I'd say.
You know what I like? Unboxing shaving goods.
No, it's like the first time I opened it, I'm like,
YouTube series, Garrett.
yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is like,
Well, it is exciting because
It's
there's like a lot of just like a lot of cool stuff in there, man.
it is very well packaged. So, as a special offer for fans of the Angry Chicken, we have partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off any shave set, including their limited edition holiday sets, when you go to harrys.com/TAC. Plus, you will get free shipping. This offer is for new and returning customers. So it doesn't matter if you've bought from Harry's before. If you're currently getting Harry's delivered right to your doorstep, you can still claim this offer. So go check it out. It's only available for the holidays. Each shaving set comes with an ergonomic weighted handle, an option to engrave so you can personalize it. It also comes with German-engineered 5-blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave, foamy shave gel for a rich lather, a travel blade cover so you can take it with you, and that holiday gift box. So go check it out.
Handsome holiday gift box.
It is a handsome
Don't forget how
holiday
handsome it is.
And if you just want something for yourself too, you can still redeem a Harry's trial offer to experience the quality of the shave before committing. So go check it out. Shipping cutoffs end this week, so you need to act now. Go to harrys.com/TAC for $5 off any shave set while supplies last. Again, that's harrys.com/TAC. We thank them for their support. And now, let's talk about the new version of Recruit Hunter.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
I don't think I could fit enough characters on a Harry's razor for engraving it, but I would do Undertaker and then send it to Jocelyn.
Gah.
That's what I would do. Recruit Hunter is back, and it's got some new cards. The one I'm most excited about is Oondasta. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, so the version that it's I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but it's been evolving over the week. And I've been trying to keep up with it, but right now, like the meta is, we're in that period of time,
It's
right?
so crazy.
Yeah, you like think you got a deck down, and then you play it one day, and then the next day you log in, play the same deck, and you're like, why am I suddenly losing a lot? And it's because everyone's adjusted and things have changed. So just be aware that that's kind of how things are going down. So the version that we're going to start to talk about now has changed quite a bit, but the original version is a bunch of secrets, so a big secret package that then kind of transitions into the Kathrena, King Crush, Oondasta, Zul'jin, Deathstalker Rexar late game, right, with the Witchwood Grizzlies and stuff. And that's really powerful. It definitely is. You just kind of like you get off to this start where you're like, I Wandering Monster, and I Candle Shot, and then I Flanking Strike, and then I Spellstone, and I make 5 3/3s, and that's a really good start. If it doesn't actually kill an opponent, it at least like competes with whatever the opponent is doing in most cases, right? So you kind of keep up if you don't just murder them, and then like nobody can really compete with like playing a Katharina and getting Oondasta, and then Oondastaing something, and then that pulling a King Crush out of your hand, like that kind of stuff is just insane, right? The amount of tempo that you generate in the late game with this deck is just nuts. So it feels like a deck that just does broken stuff, which is how you win in standard games in Hearthstone, right?
And
Yeah.
I will
use
say,
usually
like,
more
'cause
broken.
I can see the questions already, like, what do I replace Oondasta with? And I will say I tried both versions. So like the heavy full recruit version, as well as like the one with the secret package, but I didn't have Oondasta. And there really is no replacement for it. Like I tried putting in like a Savannah High main. I tried putting in like the charged Devil Swords in the version that didn't have charged Devil Swords. And it just, there's nothing like having Oondasta, because even if you have to play Oondasta out of your hand, you're like every single time it's hit the board, I've killed something with it and then gotten something else out of my hand. And you just really can't compete with that. It's something that I think makes the recruit part of this really actually viable, because that's usually the big downside, is if you draw it before you can actually recruit it, then you're out of luck. And this really shores up that weakness of the recruit deck. So I think Oondasta is one thing that if you want to play a recruit hunter, you kind of have to craft it.
Yeah,
Oondasta is, people ask about like budget replacements. Sometimes there just isn't one. Oondasta is like, the budget replacement is to play a different deck.
Yeah.
You should be playing Spell Hunter or Secret Hunter if you don't have Oondasta. If you really want to play Hunter, it's unfortunate, but it's just the truth. I will say though that Oondasta is probably one of the, if you're talking about like what are the few must craft legendaries of the set, Oondasta is just one of them, because it's neutral, it's insane.
Yeah.
You should probably just craft it. It's so good.
I'm feeling pretty safe about that as well.
Yeah.
I would say
Hunter and Secret Hunter super good if you don't have Oondasta. Like those are totally fine. And
Oh yeah, there's like 4 or 5 totally competitive, viable ways to play Hunter right now. It's crazy.
They're feeling Druid-esque in their options at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I will say though, I also don't have Zul'jin, and I didn't need him. Like that was one that, like, if you don't have Zul'jin, like he's great to have, but if you don't have him, like it doesn't break your game plan. But Oondasta, not
the
having
version
that
that's not running all the secrets doesn't even run Zul'jin, because like the reason why this one does is because sometimes in the late game it's just like, hey, I play 5 secrets and a Spellstone, you know what I mean? And that's just dope. So
it's a great sitcom idea, by the way.
Yeah.
5 secrets and a
5
Spellstone.
secrets and a Spellstone.
Yeah. Yeah, I in like my first many winning games, I didn't even draw a Zul'jin, so he's definitely not required, but it is nice. And I know, Dills, you were saying that like getting Oondasta out, there's not much that can stand toe to toe with it. I will say what gave me the most trouble were other hunters that had Freezing Trap up when Oondasta would hit the board, and I didn't have anything else to test with.
Yeah, Freezing Trap is a big thorn in a lot of deck sides right now. There's a lot of decks that are trying to get massive dudes onto the board and then hit you with them. And the Freezing Trap is so friggin' annoying, dude. By the way, also remember, never attack with your Oondasta if you think a Freezing Trap may be there, because then Oondasta costs 11 and
Can never go down
longer
again.
be played.
The first time it happened to me, I just sat there feeling like the stupidest man alive.
Sucks.
But also have found myself a couple times just being like, well, crap, I have no way to deal with this. And
way to interact with
then
it,
next
yeah.
turn they have the Hunter's Mark, my Oondasta dies, and so on and so forth.
Well, if you can get, so another interesting thing about this deck is that the Zul'jin hero power is pretty bad in comparison to the Rexar hero power. So I've had a lot of games where the Zul'jin was actually just like stuck in my hand. I was like, I could never play this because my plan is to be a Rexar.
Yeah.
So there's like, there's
Which is when we were evaluating cards, that was one of the things we brought up, right? Is that like you would like to Zul'jin then Rexar, but if you find yourself in a game where you have to Rexar first, you never want to overwrite that hero power. So then that kind of kills Zul'jin. Like he's just a dead card. So
yeah. But it's funny because so one thing I think that is a reason why this deck is so viable is that it does have game against almost every other deck. Like there's not there's not like some matchup that's just like, oh, this is unwinnable, right? Like I think even like its worst matchups are in like the 45-ish% range.
It was
And,
other hunters that gave me problems.
yeah, other hunters could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, look, according to stats here, Secret and Death Rattle Hunter are rough, but again, they're still in the high 40s. Looks like Odd Paladin is its worst matchup.
Well, yeah. If you play against an Odd Paladin and you don't get like Candle Shot or something right away, or Explosive Trap, yeah, you can just get overrun pretty easily. But I also found that, if I mulligan properly, like for Paladin, I basically always just assume Odd, and I just look for Candle Shot, I look for Explosive, I look for Rexar, I just look for all my little AoEs, and then I kind of like play from that point. But the problem is like your late game recruit powerful stuff doesn't matter to a deck that's overrunning you with little dudes, right? So
yeah.
That's always going to be one of those things where anytime you're playing a deck that relies on large drops, something that just swarms the board is always going to be a problem for you. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
but it has tools against that.
It does. You're right. With the Explosive Trap and with the Deathstalker Rexar, it can control the board to a certain extent. If you do end up against a board full of 3/3s against that Odd Paladin, it is kind of difficult though to clear that.
You can't allow that to happen, basically. Yeah. Because then you just can't deal with it. But like even when you turn into Rexar, there's always these, like, that's the thing about Rexar too, is it has answers against everything, right? Yeah. Like you can make the AoE guy with poison and taunt. You can make the AoE guy with lifesteal and rush, and then all of a sudden you're like never gonna die. So
it's lovely.
It's the blowback.
Yes. It hadn't happened to me in forever. I got the Hydra that it deals its damage to adjacent minions with poison on it this week. I was like, ooh, you're so good.
Well, or if you get that with the 1/3 lifesteal rush guy, and like you immediately can attack 3 things for 3 and heal for 9. It's like so friggin' good.
It's nasty. There's some really good stuff you can pull out of the Rexar.
I think Rexar is like, at this moment in time, I mean, for the next few months, it's like the funnest card in the game. Because every turn you're just like, let's make a thing and it's going to be awesome. And it's like, that's just such a, I really like games where you have lots of decisions, and Rexar just provides
mean, you get to sit there and play a game of limited Hearthstone. It's like, hey, here's my options. I'm going to make decisions on the fly and build my own. I'm going to make my own minions.
And so the secret package, though, has been getting slowly taken out in favor of a more minion-based Death Rattle recruit package. So I posted the new deck list that's seeing more play in the show notes if people want to check that list out. But it's running like the Keleseth, and it's got like Tar Creepers and Serenites and all that kind of stuff. It's going back to the Seeping Oozling Silver Vanguard package.
I love that. And I love that it's working. I love that. Yes.
Yep.
This is how Recruit Hunter got started. But if you think about Seeping Oozling can only copy Silver Vanguard or Kathrena Death Rattles, right? Those are the only Death Rattles in the deck. And then those will always pull Lich King, Kathrena, Charged Devil Swords. And then if you can stitch Tracker to make like extra Oondastas, then you can that's the cool thing about Oondasta, is it used to be that Recruit Hunter would draw those 8 drops, right? And then feel really bad about it. Now Oondasta is like, well, I got a backup plan. If I draw them, I can now Oondasta them out of my hand, and then it's totally fine. So it's kind of cool. It's like how Soul Warden and Discard Lock suddenly made it so if I discard a really important card that used to just be like, damn, game over, I guess. Now you can like Soul Warden, get those cards back, and it's like fine. It takes away one of the big weaknesses. So even though like these aren't brand new archetypes, they've gotten some really interesting tools that kind of change the game a little bit for these decks.
I find I like this version better for where I'm playing on ladder right now, because I'm seeing a lot of people going super aggressive, lots and lots and lots of odd paladins. So the fact that this has a couple Tar Creepers and has Serenite Chain Gang, and it just has those couple of early game defensive kind of tools that those decks have a hard time getting through. And that usually then allows me to live long enough to get my Deathstalker Rexar to, do all my big stuff. And then, they might have a board full of little minions, but I have a King Crush and, a Charged Devil Sword and a Lich King that are about to hit their face. And it's
Sure.
like, okay, you might have chipped away at me a little bit, but now I'm just going to kill you.
Yep. And I also, like one of the things that this deck has that the other one doesn't is like Firefly on 1, right? Against Odd Paladin, the Firefly is real good. It's like, yeah, you can make some 1/1s, but my 1/2 will just clear off 2 of them. So yeah, it's definitely got more game there. And I think the other thing about this deck in comparison to the other one is that secret packages can be super powerful because you can play a whole bunch of secrets and then the other guy kind of has to play differently. But against really good opponents, really good opponents will play correctly around your secrets, right?
Yeah.
And so then
which I find so frustrating. I'm like, dang it, you're rank 11. Why are you playing around
Yeah,
secrets?
why are you doing this so good? So it's one of those things where this deck doesn't give the opponent the opportunity to make proper plays and then get the advantage back. Like this is just like, I'm playing minions on curve. There's not like a way to play around minions on curve, right? Like you just got to deal with them.
Yeah.
So
well, we have some questions about this deck. Cheesy Bob wrote in on the Angry Chicken Patreon Discord, and he said that it feels like it needs 1 or 2 more big beasts in it. I seem to often end up with no good targets for my tracker to copy or Katharina to pull, while if I'm able to get them out against an aggro deck, it is all over. I've had some real trouble with some of the control decks I've ran into with really good removal. There were a couple games I lost that I feel like would have won if I had had just 2 charged Devil Swords in the deck. Well, then it sounds like maybe this non-secret variant might be for you.
yeah, the non-secret variant is running the charged Devil Swords because of the Vanguard and the Oozlings, because you're going to pull more things.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the reason why there's not a whole bunch in the other one is because you want to make sure that the ones that you are pulling are effective and really good. So it's just it's one of those decks that, yeah, it can draw in the wrong order and it sucks. But lots of decks work that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate.
He also was curious about when to Deathstalker versus when to Zul'jin, which I know we talked about a little bit. I felt like in my game it was just kind of like, how we talk about all the time holding on the cards too long for maximum value.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started getting that feeling with Rexar. I was like, if I need the 2 damage to the board, it's just time to go for it, and I'll figure out Zul'jin later, or maybe I just won't play him.
I'd rather have a dead Zul'jin in my hand than not have my Rexar hero power. Like, I'd rather just play that out and get the zombies rolling, because like we talked about, it's so strong. So if I'll never play Zul'jin, that's okay.
I'll Rexar on 6 with nothing on the board. The 2 damage AoE is not really like the point in certain matchups, especially like if you're playing against odd warrior, you just Rexar ASAP.
Yeah.
And then just start making just push that button every turn, and make something large, because those games end up becoming a resource battle. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's one of those things. It's like Zul'jin will just be a dead card in that matchup. But then there's other matchups where, even if you have Rexard, Zul'jin can just be like a game winner because maybe they've cleared the board a few times and then here's one more board you can't clear, right? But yeah, I think the newer version that we're talking about, that decision goes away. So if that's another one you're struggling with, then it sounds like the other version is better. I will say that there's potential for some other beasts to go into this deck, like the War Bear, right? The 570 bro, right? Isn't that a thing that you could potentially do?
The Rush, is he
the Rush 5/7 taunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that could always be a thing. That's a really good minion to recruit, right? So there's definitely options. I just think there's just not enough great beasts in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but Hunter right now is just in a really good spot, man. It's just doing good stuff. Get out there and hunt away, man. Yeah, it's crazy. They used to just be the aggro deck. That was their thing. Now they're just this late game, I just make bigger stuff than you deck. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really like the class and you get bored playing one deck all the time, well, now is the time to just make an entire garage of Hunter decks.
Mm-hmm. I will say too, the mulligan with these decks is probably one of the trickier things because it does have so much late game. There are definitely some matchups where you're like, I want to keep this greedy late game thing because it's one of the best cards in my deck. However, you have so many greedy late game things that oftentimes it's better to just tilt towards the early game.
Also,
Oh yeah, I never keep anything. I get all my little stuff. I don't ever keep anything.
well, and because of Stitch Tracker, it's like even if it's Katharina, which is like, oh god, it just kind of it's like, well, you know what's better? 3 Katharinas over the course of the whole game
better
because
if it's in your deck.
You
Yeah.
put it in your deck and you made a copy with Stitch Tracker, and it's hard to do. It is so hard to make that call because I was not playing this more. Like the one with more minions that doesn't have secrets. I was playing the one we brought up first, and I was with Cheesy Bob. I'm like, God, this just doesn't have enough big freaking minions. Like they end up in my hand, and I've got nothing to pull. But it still seemed wrong to keep Katharina in those scenarios because just when the stars would align, when the Stitch Trackers would align, there's nothing your opponent could do.
Mm-hmm.
I will keep Stitch Tracker quite often.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not
that
saying
is
throw Stitch Tracker back. I'm saying throw
that's one of
Katharina
the coolest cards.
Yeah.
But against so when you're playing the secret version, basically just keep all the secrets and keep the spell stones.
Mm-hmm.
And also Candle Shot, one of your best cards, right? Like just go with that. Like Spellstone is not a greedy keep. I know it costs 5, but that's just that card is insane. So
well, if you're playing that, you're playing secrets, so you're gonna get there. You'll get to 5. Your secrets will keep you alive until then. That's fine.
But so I look for things like the Flanking Strike, Animal Companions, Spellstone, Secrets, Candle Shot. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. The other version, it's basically all about the Keleseth and the Stitch Trackers, right?
Yeah.
That's your jam.
Yep. But cool. So we got links to both these deck lists. They're on HS Replay. They're not hard to find. If you're watching on video, you've got it right there. Or you can just go to HS Replay, copy the deck list, and you don't need to hand type all of this into your Hearthstone game. So go check that out. I know we pulled a question from the Patreon Discord, so I'd also like to take this moment to remind everybody that we have a Patreon Discord now that's actually linked to the Patreon. So if you're a patron or you become a patron, you automatically get added into it, and we have a channel just to take questions for the show. Also on the Patreon, we are now posting the deck list of the deck that we're going to cover for the following week ahead of time, so you can leave us questions that we'll answer on the following episode. So go check all of that out, patreon.com/TAC. And now before we move
next week, by the way, Jocelyn, you might hate this, but I was thinking Undertaker Druid.
We need to talk about it at some point, right?
So
Okay.
I'm okay with it. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because
All right.
I do find it to be very fun. I just call it my Undertaker.
Sure,
Druid.
the Undertaker
The
Druid. All right,
Undertaker Druid.
Well, I think it's a deck that has to be talked about in depth because it is super popular right now, and now there's like 3 or 4 versions of that. So I think that's probably where we're going to be headed next week. So
as long as
I'll
he's
be
not
posting
he's not a MeUndies taker druid, I don't want that.
MeUndies Taker Druid.
Yeah, don't take MeUndies. Anyways, before we move into crazy game stories and emails and wrap the show up, we have another sponsor to thank today, and that is Robinhood. They are back sponsoring this episode. They are the investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. Their goal being a non-intimidating way for stock market newcomers, aka me, to invest for the first time with true confidence. And it's my experience with it has been solid. I know I've mentioned in the past, and I'm going to mention it again. It's so easy to use. Their interface design is fantastic. Before using Robinhood, I had 0 experience trading stocks. The interface makes it so easy to understand and to make trades. And it's just pretty, too. So the graphic designer in me doesn't want to just vomit every time I load up my phone to look at stocks. So I very much appreciate that. And it's, as I've already mentioned, but it's worth reiterating, commission free. Other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade. Robinhood does not charge commission fees. You can trade stocks and you can keep all of your profits. On top of all of this, there's an offer. You know there's an offer. You know how podcast sponsorships work by now. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. You can sign up over at angrychicken.robinhood.com. That's angrychicken.robinhood.com. And we thank them for their support. And we thank you for going to, you guessed it, angrychicken.robinhood.com. Now, we haven't done one of these in a while. Let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jocelyn, who writes in this week?
This comes to us from Warrior Princess, who says, "Hello, my furious feathered friends. The other day, I was busy minding my own business, playing Mechathune Druid on ladder, when along comes this unsuspecting acting espionage rogue. We each start to go about our business. I fend off all attacks and even manage to land a few hits of my own, making sure to draw cards and not go too deep into spreading plague so as to not get burned by a banish. But before I know it, they're down to 10 health and I've successfully drawn my whole deck. They probably think I'm dead to fatigue, but I know all I have to do is play out my non-combo cards and then it's time for the ultimate Metal Kraken deity.
By the way, I love that they're saying, yeah, we're just going about our business. Yeah, this sounds like a Mechathune player. They're like, I'm just doing my thing. I don't really care. I'm here doing Mechathune things.
Minding my own business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm playing solitaire. What are you playing?
Yeah, if solitaire was like building, I don't know, a device that destroys the playground for everybody. Like, it's recess.
Like, oh, then I smashed the computer.
It's recess. People are playing tag. There's some kickball going on, and then someone's just playing solitaire, and they win, and then the field's just like, sorry, it's closed. Everyone out.
You guys good?
I'm good. Sorry. Just Dills.
Yeah, just had to get that
I
off
got
my
this
chest.
image in my head when Dill started talking. I had to get it out.
All right. So that, my furious yet friendly fowls, was only the first half of the game. A mere turn or two away from my end game, what does my opponent play? Lo and behold, it's Lorewalker Joe. No big deal, I think. I'm way ahead on armor. I can afford to play a few more spells and withstand the fatigue. But then my opponent cast their second espionage, and I know we're in for the long haul. I cast my copy of espionage, putting me 10 cards away from my combo, but at least taking me out of fatigue. I start to draw 1-cost rogue cards. The old gods even saw fit to bless me with a sprint, enabling me to drop an 18/18 Van Cleef. He dies to a Vilespine. Until finally I'm left with nothing but my Innervate, Naturalize, a Prep, and the mechanical deity himself. With 1 card left in my deck, I'm hoping it's a nice 3 or less cost card so I can pull off my combo on my next turn. But what do I draw instead? Lillian Voss. Replace the spells in your hand with spells from your opponent's class. After all this time, my combo is dead. Playing Lillian will replace my much-needed Naturalize, and Thuni is doomed, destined to live for eternity on my side of the board. Knowing the gods of burgliness are laughing at my plight, I say one last masterful and concede to my fate, leaving the old gods to be raised another day.
I don't want to be mean, but I'm so glad this was not a story about how the Mechathune Druid players somehow ekes out a win.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not a crazy game story.
But
Lillian Voss as the last card in a deck of a Druid deck is a crazy game story.
Yeah. I feel for you, Warrior Princess, but also thank you for sharing, because if it was like, and it was 3 mana, and I played it, and I won, it would have been like, oh, that's just
it would always be 3 mana less because they all cost 1.
They all cost 1.
Oh, right.
So yeah,
right.
I don't want to be mean, but it was always going to cost 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lillian, that's pretty. Yeah. That's a sick run out right there, because that's literally the only card I think.
Yeah.
That makes it so you cannot win that game, because now you can't. I mean, I guess at that point you just have to play the Lillian Voss though.
Yeah, you just play everything else in your hand and then
and hope that somehow the Innervate and the Naturalize turn into something useful. Yeah. You just gotta go for it.
I still would have played it out, but
yeah, I think you're supposed to just play it.
I'm curious if Warrior Princess did, and it just wasn't noteworthy.
Well, it says that they conceded.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's some artistic
that's
license.
acceptable as well, because
yeah.
Maybe it turned. Yeah,
at that point, that espionage rogue earned that win, I think.
Sure.
There's a certain point too where it's like, let them have it. Like there's a respect consideration here of, wow, okay, yeah, just.
I probably would have played Lillian and then conceded just to show the rogue what happened.
Oh, you should have. You're right. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the true respect right there.
Out.
Here it is. You already knew what my deck. You know what my deck was.
Yeah.
Here's what came off the top.
Here's what you did.
Thanks.
So, yeah, you can't do prep assassinate Hachikuma because assassinate is this enemy minion.
There's a troll emoji there.
Yeah, that's true. There is a kappa.
There's a troll emoji there.
Is Walk the Plank, is that enemy minion, or is that new card, the 4-mana one? I think that's any undamaged minion, right? So that might work.
Possibly.
Walk the Plank. Yeah, Yeah, destroy an undamaged minion. There you go. So walk the plank might work. There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
See, there's things that could happen.
There's still
Yeah.
outs, Warrior Princess. There were
Play
outs.
the Lillian. Let's go.
Yep.
So I have a golden Lillian Voss, and I really did try to make a deck with her work, and it's so sad. You just can't do it. Just can't do it, man.
You got to do it for the lulz, Dills.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it for the wins. You
Tried
got to do
real
it for the
hard.
lulz.
I tried real hard. That is interesting though. You could potentially do a Mechathune rogue where you Mechathune coin prep walk the planket. You can't play counterfeit coin anymore because that's wild only, but you can play the wanted card.
True.
Yeah.
And there's also because they have Myra's unstable element, you could literally just
Draw your whole
like
deck.
at the point where you've got your combo, then you just Myra's to be like, bam, goodbye, deck.
Yep.
That's interesting. Do we have a new Cluck the Meta before we're bored with the meta?
Yeah. Walk the plank.
Is that what's happening? Walk the plank,
Totally.
Mechathune Rogue?
Mechathune Rogue.
Mechathune Rogue. Hell yeah, dude.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Let's make it happen at some point. Thank you for sharing the story with us, Warrior Princess. Now let's take some emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com, or drop us a question on the Patreon Discord, which is exactly what Myth did. And Myth wants to know, what is the card that we're going to miss the most when it rotates out next? Myth didn't specify next standard rotation, but I would assume the next standard rotation.
Yes.
I will go first and say Lich King. It was a card I was so excited for, and it exceeded my expectations. If you could probably go back to a Knights of the Frozen Throne, like a pre-Knights of the Frozen Throne episode when we knew it was going to be Frozen Throne, where I said, man, Lich King just has to be good.
Lich King better be
He
good.
just has to be good. And not only is he good, but he's really good and neutral and in a lot of decks and has been in and out of the game nonstop since he was dropped in. And I just love that card.
But he's not oppressive, which I think is key. It's not
No.
like the spreading plague of cards.
I mean, he was in
But,
Arena
like,
for a
you know,
little while.
yeah. Was he oppressive in Arena?
Or no, I'm thinking of Death Knights. Never mind. There was an issue with Death Knight pull rates, right?
Right. Yeah. But Lich King itself was never like it was
They-
well costed, and
It's the best legendary in Arena, but it's not. They took Death Knights out literally
Right.
because they were so ridiculous.
he's
They're
like, he
if I
feels
draw
like,
it, I win, and that sucks.
he feels like he's like powerful, but I'm glad that he never had to be changed. It's like the range of cards that he can potentially give you. There were enough bad cards in there that
hmm
sometimes you got a bad roll that made it so it wasn't like play Lich King, play or win the game. And also with like all the different matchups and stuff, like some things were good in some matchups and bad in other matchups. So like I feel like the randomness to Lich King made it okay so that it wasn't OP. And I'm really, really glad that they created the card that way.
Yeah. By the way, someone go back to like when did we start the show? 2013? Is that when Angry
Yes.
Chicken started? Someone go back to 2013 and tell 2013 Garrett that 2018 Garrett is picking a card with a guaranteed inherent RNG as the card he's going to miss the most in a standard rotation. Also,
It's a good RNG though. It's not like a Ragnaros RNG.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's such a well designed card. Also, 2013 Garrett will want to know what the hell a standard rotation is.
Right.
So okay, what sets are we losing? We're losing
Ungoro, Frozen
Ungoro.
Throne, and Kobolds and Catacombs. So we're
kobolds
losing
as well. Okay,
quests,
yeah,
Death
all the
Knight.
quests are gone.
and actually a lot of the like recruit stuff, because recruit was the
Mhm.
Kobolds and Catacombs.
Yeah, some might say it's certain death for kobolds and catacombs very soon.
Well then, yeah. So my answer would probably be Rexar, but I'm gonna be sad about Zola. I think Zola's cool. Zola's like a card that makes interesting possibilities, right? Like think about Janalai or whatever, and then Zolaing Janalai and making more Ragnaroses, and like there's just cool things you can do with Zola.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's going to make Shutterwalk a little bit weaker, but they got their new 3/3 replacement that's just friggin' better anyway. So yeah, it's like it's just a cool card. It's just a cool card that does cool stuff.
Do I get to say like a group of cards?
A group of cards,
Well,
like a
because I
package.
couldn't really, well, not really a package, just like
Okay.
a type of card that we're losing.
Okay.
So we're losing like fireflies, dire moles, and glacial shards, among others.
Okay, I see
And I
where you're
feel
going.
like, yeah, just kind of like well designed, very early game minions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Hopefully we
kind of
get new
sad
ones that are well, like we got the 2/3 for 1 that gives a 0/3 to the opponent. I think that's
Yep.
a good new one that's well designed. We'll probably see a lot of play once these other ones are gone.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like that, I think Firefly is just a card it's just a great friggin' option. I really want to see some 2-drops again.
Mm,
Eliseth is just kind of
yeah.
taken over, and luckily that garbage is out of here.
So has odd decks have played a big role in that. So even with Keliseth going away, I'm not, I think if odd decks stick around, there's still going to be a dearth of 2-drops seeing play. But
When you play Wild right now, it's funny because you remember that there were ridiculously OP 1 and 2 drops that were just like, oh, I lose because of your 1 drop. And
Well,
like,
that's the thing, because like
Yeah,
Profather
right.
in the chat room right now is saying he's glad that what I'm talking about is leaving. But I feel like before, before Ungoro, there were so many things that like we had like zombie chows, like there's cards. It felt like you played on 1 or 2 or Undertaker way back in the day before they changed that. Like there were some of these cards that like you either had it, and I would even throw Keliseth in here too. Like if you had it on turn 1 or you had it on turn 2, it felt like you just won the game, like it was over. And then they moved into this era of creating things like Glacial Shards. I know Glacial Shard is a pain in the ass with Shutterwalk, but prior, like I feel like that's a problem with Shutterwalk, not a problem with Glacial Shard.
Glacial
Like,
Shard is fine.
yeah. So like Glacial Shard is fine and balanced, Firefly is fine and balanced, like Dire Mole is fine and balanced, and they work in different decks. They've come in and out of the meta. They've made the early game a little bit more interesting. And I'm gonna miss that. And I know that we've like might get replacements, but I feel like right at the rotation, I think we're really gonna feel it at the rotation.
I think you're right. You're also making me think along the lines of what does the future hold for the game? Because like how many more unique 1-drop designs can we do without power creep? Right? Like how can you do and even with the power creep, at what point does it just become a 2-drop that costs 1 mana? Like a 2-mana card that costs 1 mana because we've creeped so much so far.
Well, what you do is you just essentially reprint the cards.
Right, and that's where my brain's going is I haven't thought about we need to do something about classic and basic sets and maybe do reprints yada yada in a little while now. We also haven't seen those emails in a while. We used to get those emails all the time. Probably because we just freshly into a Rastakhan meta, so we're all kind of just have our heads in that. But yeah, it makes me think of that, which is at some point we're gonna just run out of unique ideas for what a 1-drop could even be, and maybe it'll be time for Flame Elemental or Firefly to just
to
triumphantly
return.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like it used to be that reprints were off the table, right? Because I know, like way back in the day, they actually said, like, no, we will not reprint cards, and then I feel like they backed off that. Yeah, they backed off that statement a little bit. I feel like right before Broad left, but now it feels like they've had so much kind of turnover, and it just like it's a new team, new leadership. Like I don't think anything is like full on off the table. I don't think that we can say something they said 4 or 5 years ago may still stand up. Like it was on them for using the word never, but I think reprints are definitely on the table at this point.
I agree. Yeah, I can't remember the exact quote, but I know the last time I heard Broad speak to it, it sounded like it was no longer set in stone as never going to happen. Because it just seems unrealistic to me to say that reprints will never
unrealistic. Happen. Eventually, you have to because, like you said, there's so many combinations of things you can do at like 8 mana, but at 1 mana, you're going to run out pretty quick because we've kind of done a lot of them already. And you could do, like Hachikuma says in chat, you can do negative battle cries, death rattles, all that kind of stuff. But those also run out. And there obviously there's going to be new mechanics. So maybe you can tie the new mechanics into 1-drops. But and you could make 1/3 beasts that are called something other than Dire Mole. That's fine. But essentially,
that is
just
going to be a reprint.
Yeah, that is just, if you do that, it is a reprint, right? So yeah. By the way, right now, Public Enemy #1 as far as one drops that are like snowbally and stupid is Secret Keeper, and I kind of would like to just see them go. Like I think the classic set was full of too many of them, and they just haven't gotten around to Secret Keeper yet. But like, if they're gonna make secret packages in Hunter this good, Secret Keeper should probably not be the way it is either. Like I feel like it's just every time they do it to like, oh, Mana Worm, and then they're like, oh crap, Secret Keeper. Oh, how did we forget that one? You know? And
yeah, it's unnecessary lead when you're already doing well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got this godlike secret opening. You've already got Spellstone. You don't need Secret Keeper. Is what I'm getting at.
It's just one of those things. Like I think we just need to purge all of these one drops where the game feels like it's decided. Not
all the one drops that grow in
we
health.
got to full ass this. We can't half ass this.
Yeah.
Full ass. Yeah. Yep. Anyways,
I was so good. I left it alone.
Yeah, I was expecting.
I tried. It was like
my.
You ever have that where you just stop talking for a second, just like I can make it through this, and then you think of it, you're just no, I can't. It's really silly. Jocelyn, who's got the final question for the TAC trio today?
Joe writes in and says, my undying devotion to Hearthstone has blessed me with the financial stability, and I now only have to pay money for pre-orders on expansions and then gold for packs the rest of the time. Despite these riches, I'm very aware of the monetary investment that blessed Hearthstone demands of its followers. It can be trying when Hearthstone, in its infinite wisdom, has the disenchant to craft ratio so heavily weighted to the crafting side. While I would never question the divine wisdom of Hearthstone, my weak mind does wander to possible alternatives. Perhaps a promotional period following expansion release where for 1 to 2 weeks, the ratio is 1-to-1, and you could dust your garbage Shearzul'jin for that sweet, sweet gonk. May the spirit of the cards forever guide your minions to their glorious demise. So basically the idea that, that there's so much volatility right after an expansion release that we're not 100% sure like what's good, what's not, and you want to try things out. And what if there was a trial period where you could just like trade in one rare for another rare, one legendary for another legendary?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think though, we've talked in the past about just a try mode.
Yes.
And just being able to just like play with cards and see how they feel and stuff. And then you can go, and then if you want to play them on ladder, then you have to figure out the crafting.
But in a world of no new Hearthstone modes, things they could play with is dust cost.
AKA 2018.
I feel like though, reality is that I think rather than a trial period, I would probably rather just alter the ratio slightly, because I think the ratio is pretty harsh. Maybe instead of this whole like 40 to craft, 5 to disenchant, they could go maybe like you get 10 dust for disenchanting. Like not even a huge difference, but enough of one where it doesn't feel terrible to disenchant a legendary and get 400.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, man, can I get like 800? Can I get half of that legendary?
Yeah. No, 1/4. You need 4 legendaries.
Oh my God, that hurts.
1/4.
Yeah, I'd like to see that more than I think a trial period. I'd just like to see them just tilt the ratio a little bit. Just there's so many more cards than there was when they first came up with the system. So that'd be my vote anyway.
I'm with you too. I also like the try mode, especially as someone who holds the extremely grumpy opinion that that's almost necessary in a world where you tell us, figure out how the cards work. We don't want to write them so that they're understandable.
There is also, chat room, friend Ninja in the chat room is saying that's kind of whiz bang. And I guess that's true-ish. True-ish.
Yeah, but whiz
really.
bang gives you 18 terrible decks.
Well, they're the pre-built deck recipes. They're random, right? So
yeah, you
when you play whiz bang, you can't like target, say like I want to try the new Hunter Legendary, but then you play like 8 games of Shaman. You're like, damn it, whiz bang.
Yeah, and it's like some crap Shaman that put together, and it's not the meta Shaman that everybody else figured out. You know,
plus
it's like,
it doesn't allow you to like try cards in combination unless that's the deck recipe that Blizzard has built, right? So if you think that you found some cool combo, but you're not 100% sure if it's going to actually work and you want to test things out, you can't build like if Whizbang let you like create your own deck recipes or something like that, and you could just like and then he would just like let you play a random one of the whiz bang decks you built, sure.
Why? Okay, so how about this? What if Whizbang just gave you the most popular version of whatever random class it ended up with? Not
That
the
would be
Blizzard
super cool,
pre-made
too.
one, just whatever the most popular one on ladder is.
Yeah,
That would be so sweet.
that would be so good.
Do we have any idea if that's realistic from a coding coding aspect?
I mean, sure, but like the most popular version might not even be like some broken deck. It just would be the one that's actually decent at the moment. You know what I mean? And that,
Yeah, but I don't know. To me, the experiment. I'd like to stay in the spirit of experimentation. So the idea of being able to customize all of your Whizbang decks would be really cool and be a rather playful and on-brand Hearthstone way. I think handle this sort of thing.
I think either way would be an improvement on what it is currently.
Yeah. Tinfoil hat. Do you think there's any consideration that folks that watch Disguised Toast and love all the experimentation, who may turn into whales to just buy a lot of cards so they can experiment? You think that's a consideration with the business model of Hearthstone?
Probably not. I mean,
maybe just Disguised Toast. Maybe they're just like, oh, we're gonna get so much less money out of Disguised Toast if we just let you try every card in the game.
But I feel, Disguised Toast has every card in the game anyway whenever the expansion comes out.
Thanks for ruining
and
my
I
joke.
do too,
I
essentially.
it.
And I don't feel like I know that one of the underlying themes of this email is I don't want to have to spend all this money. But in comparison to other card games, like there's no other card game where each expansion I can spend $100 or so and have every deck. And I can do that in Hearthstone. I can literally play, like right now, there's not a single meta deck that I cannot make. And I did not spend $300-$400. I bought the pre-release and I bought one more thing. That's about $100. You know what I mean? And like I do that 3 times a year and I have every deck. That's not bad, man, when you're talking card games. So like I was playing Magic the other night and I was just like, oh, look at this. I was looking at the top 8 Magic the Gathering decks right now. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't make any of these unless I literally dropped like $400 on Magic Arena, right?
Even when I was
physical game, like cards, right? So
I'm trying to think. Even when I used to play like a lot of Magic and I was just playing limited, I feel like I still budgeted myself to $100 a month, and that was limited.
A month, yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, yes, you can sell those cards back. I get that, but in general, people don't like make money on their cards. They just spend less in the long run, right? Yeah, it's not quite how it works.
My first car was less than $100 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My current car is not much more. To be honest. Like, yeah, but it's always going to be an issue with card games. It's just, it's rough, but
the nature of the beast to a certain. But that also doesn't mean that you can't ask Hearthstone, like, could you just make it a little less oppressive?
No,
it's fine.
I'm not discounting the fact that like I think we need more. Like they've been doing better at giving us more stuff, but I think they could tilt it just a little bit more because, like we've talked about on the show, it's like if you give me a little more, it might actually make me shell out a bit more than I currently am. Because if it feels like it's unattainable, like that, like in Magic Arena. If I felt like I was pretty close to making some of these decks, then I might go and spend that $100, right? But instead, I'm like, I'm nowhere near any of these, so I'm free to play.
So why try? Yeah, I'm just gonna take my time and play for free. Yeah.
Yep.
I find that with a lot, not even just Hearthstone, but a lot of hobbies. It's like when I'm really close, when I don't need that much more, that's when I end up spending more money than I intend to.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well, while you're in there.
While you're in there, they want you to get to that headspace where you're spending more than you intend to.
Well, yeah,
their business, that's their dream spot.
Yeah. I mean, most people that are trying to make money want their customers to get to that headspace. So so that's where my thoughts are on that. But thanks for the email, Joe.
I know a bunch of people who are like terrible at golf and will never buy a golf club ever. But once you get like semi-decent, then you're all of a sudden like, I'm at the golf store buying brand new set of irons,
The thing that's holding me back is clearly my brand of club.
But it's man, you got to get that feeling, man. You got to get that little feeling of like, oh, I could do it. And then all of a sudden you're just like, this income becomes disposable now.
We're going to full circle.
Don't tell my landlord.
We're going to full circle this episode, and I'm going to bring it back to cocktails, because I remember making, when my friends got into craft cocktails, and they're like, oh, you're having an old-fashioned. I'm like, oh, this is actually good. There's not muddled up crap in the bottom. It looks like you pulled it out of a garbage disposal, and then you filled it with soda water. There's none of that. And I was like, oh, how do you make this? And they showed me. I'm like, I could do that. That's not hard. And I went home, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any of the tools. So I took out, like, my flour measurer and used that as my mixer, and I used an iced teaspoon to stir it.
Yeah, using like the back of a wooden spoon to muddle and stuff like that.
And then I used a potato masher to strain it, and it was still the best damn drink I ever made myself. And you know what I did after that? I've dropped like $100 on bartender tools.
All of a sudden you're on Amazon.com, just taking out double strainers and stuff. Yeah, oh yeah.
Actually, I think our first mixing glass was a gift, but I've since spent a stupid amount of money on bar stuff. So it happens. It happens.
It's real easy for it to happen. I mean, I'm like the biggest hobbyist probably anybody knows. Anything that I enjoy remotely, I immediately become like super into, and there's been a million things where it's that same way. And if I feel like I'm too far away, I drop that hobby instantly. So just saying, Blizzard, that stock is going down. You might want to turn it around or give us just a little more free stuff.
And a little less letters from Brack, because that letter was crap.
Yeah.
Maybe don't let Brack write letters. Done something he can be trusted.
I'm sure he's got other talents.
Ponytail styling.
Oh, that is a stylish ponytail. That's true. Yeah. It was the sweet serendipity moment, though, right? Of his whole thing was when he had to announce WoW Classic. That's my greatest Brack moment of all time.
after him going on stage and saying, "You don't know what you want."
Because he was the one who told us we didn't know that we didn't want it. Yeah.
Well, now he's CEO, so who gets the last laugh, Dills?
I know, right? Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. You don't know that you wanted me as CEO. That's when they announced it.
I was excited about it. I'll end on that. I was excited about Brack being announced as a replacement, but
Blizzard.
Now I'm worried.
We're gonna have a fun next year of this show, aren't we?
I mean, let's see. I mean, it can only get better, right? Like,
yeah.
What could they do that would piss people off more than mobile Diablo and we're firing 200 people at Christmas?
That's the spirit, Garrett.
Which? What would cause more YouTube comments? I don't know. Hearthstone's going mobile only. We're pulling support for the PC.
Why,
client.
Garrett? Why give them ideas?
We're no longer supporting the PC version.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Anyways, this has been Nostradamus doomsaying. It's a new segment we're going to put at the end of the show, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your questions, everybody. Keep them coming. tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, go into the Discord. Just drop us a question right there. Won't get lost in the inbox. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap it up for this podcast. Thank you again if you're supporting us on Patreon. It is the best way to support us. We know it's the holidays. You're probably saving every penny you can to buy gifts for your loved ones. So we very much appreciate everyone sticking around and everyone signing up to be new patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. And huge thanks to our producers, too. Thank you to Declan H. and Sean C. Thank you for the support, you two. If you want to find the whole back catalog of Angry Chicken episodes, meaning you want to go back and listen to 2013 Dills, Jocelyn, and me say what seems like insane things by today's standards, you can do that over at youtube.com/amovetv. If you missed our launch stream, you can also go over there and watch us play the Shirvala Paladin. You can watch us play Odd Mage, but like an early proto Odd Mage where we didn't really know what we were doing yet. We were doing Spiteful Summoner things. I was really excited about the Spiteful Summoner.
I love Spiteful Summoner.
I do too. I wish it worked better.
I guess that's rotating, isn't it? Oh, damn, that should have been my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, around the table, Dills, where can everybody find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills and twitch.tv/Willie Dills. Like I said, it's the 6 Dills of Christmas. So if you want to come by and spread some Christmas cheer, that's the place you can do it for the next 7 days. So it'll be fun. I will actually be streaming. I'm going to stream all the way until Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, I will be taking off, but Christmas Eve, all the way up until then, we'll be having streams. So it's been a lot of fun so far. And come on by, tell me about your favorite Christmas cocktail, and I'll tell you what I'm making that particular day. But yeah.
Are you saying?
By the way, happy holidays banned in the chat. So
seriously?
We're fighting the war on Christmas in my chat. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Merry Christmas around here. All right.
It's a good. You're a good soldier, Dills. You're a good soldier in the war for Christmas. Jocelyn Moffat, when you are not sending the most fantastical wedding invites to my mailbox, where can everybody find you?
Hi, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays. You can also check out Gamers In. I haven't talked about that in a while. We're doing our Game of the Year episode this week. That is Thursdays on twitch.tv/thegamersin. So go check it out.
Sweet. I can be found all over the place. amove.tv for all the podcasts that I do. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. If you want to hear more about the HGC stuff, as I mentioned, go tune into the Nexus, the most recent episode. The HGC talk is at the very end because it didn't actually break until the show was technically posted. I ripped it down off the feed to adjust it. So go listen to my pain and anguish at not only HGC being canceled, but also having to redo my damn podcast post. How dare you, Blizzard? So go check that out. And we are all leaving for the holidays, but there will be an episode posted next week. We're going to be pre-recording it to schedule to go up on Christmas Eve. So if you have questions, because there probably won't be much Hearthstone news between now and when we're recording, send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com or drop them in that question channel in the Patreon Discord. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.